Well, for more, we can speak now to France 24's James Vecina, who is at the Elysée Palace. James, what's happening there right now?
Well, it's quite a sudden visit, but one that's definitely coming for a reason. What we're seeing today is, of course, France, Europe, the West in general, seeing what the consequences are of them backing Ukraine in their war against Russia. Now, of course, we've seen that, the impact that it's had on oil prices, but not just that, as it extends, of course, to the rest of the food across the planet. Now, they've been trying to sort that out. They've been trying to approach leaders from the Gulf to try and get them to increase oil production, hoping that that's maybe going to bring, or should, if they do, bring prices down across the world. But for now, there's been pretty little success, has to be said. Emmanuel Macron, who did speak, who met with the president from the UAE and managed to get a deal from them. But today, with Saudi Arabia, with Mohammed bin Salman coming to the Elysée, well, it's a slightly different story, of course, because the Saudis have that joint program with the Russians when it comes to the delivery of oil worldwide, and they don't want to step out of it. We've seen that with Joe Biden, who was in Riyadh just recently, and little progress was made there. So when it comes to actually getting to them to increase that oil production, well, that's what they're hoping for, but it's not going to be an easy one to come by.
Indeed, and we can assume the prince is going to get a warm welcome at the Elysée Palace, but that mightn't be the case were he to walk the streets of this country, well, at least in certain parts of this country.
Well, there's been a pretty warm welcome, Tom, so far. If we consider the fact that Emmanuel Macron wasn't even in the country when they landed, when the delegation landed. He's just getting back now from his tour where he's been in Africa for the last 4 days. But he wasn't here to welcome them as they arrived. Instead, it was Bruno Le Maire who was with them, who just came by just earlier on. And now Macron will be meeting with MBS, as he's known, this evening for that work dinner to try and see what he can pull out of it. But as you mentioned, well, it's not going down that well with many. Of course, it's garnering a lot of attention because for such a long time, France and the West in general had decided to pretty much give Riyadh the cold shoulder after the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist who was killed in the Saudi consulate over in Istanbul. That was back in 2018. But since then, well, with things changing today, well, it's a completely different story. Macron did meet up at the kingdom with them just a few months ago. It was the end of last year in December, where he'd said that he wanted to try and renew ties with the kingdom, and it wasn't just about oil at that point. But today, clearly, that firm stance. Joe Biden, who up until now had said that he wanted to make the kingdom a pariah on the world scene. Well, we've seen that change over the last weeks with his visit to the kingdom, and clearly that very firm position that the countries have had in the West amid the crisis in Ukraine and the world crisis is crumbling right now.